All right. And we're live again talking about Avalon Universe, reflecting on some of these older films. Josh Irwin here with my friend Christian Gomez. And, we've a couple of times over the years gone back and talked about Ghost Ship, and it's always fun to talk about Ghost Ship. It's always easy to talk about Ghost Ship because Ghost Ship was fun. And it's fun to talk about the fun things, and whereas this film is the first kind of fork in the road for the whole adventure. And while I think what I want to do tonight is really focus on how, even though this film was a fork in the road, um, it was a very triumphant fork in the road, and everybody involved in that, in the making of it, stepped up to make it that victory. That being said, I'm never going to sugarcoat the adversity that Avalon Universe has gone through, because it's a big part of the story of what Avalon Universe is the adversity, because this could have been the end. This could have been the end of Avalon Universe right here, Avalon Lost. So we shot Demons, and we had a great time, or we shot Ghost Ship and we had a great time, and we're on our way back from the trip. We're spinning out the story of what Demons is going to be. Victoria seems to like the story that we're coming up with. And I thought that the next film that I was going to make after Ghost Ship was going to be this werewolf movie that I wrote. And so I didn't suspect that I was immediately going to make another Star Trek fan film. I knew we were going to make more of them because we were coming up with stories, but I thought I was going to go make this werewolf movie, and then we would go and we would do Demons. The intent had always been to make a film, and then once you've proven yourself, that's when you crowdfund, right? That way you can give people more confidence that you're going to deliver on something. So we get together and we start talking about, we have a meeting to what's the next step before we crowdfund. And Victoria, the thing that I really respected about her, was that she had a really good way of like breaking down a script, saying, okay, Josh, I'm going to break down this script. And then she'd come back and she'd make all these bullet points, and they would be really good bullet points. I'd be like, wow, I really can't argue with that. It was a different perspective because she came from a different place in life than I did. And I wanted that perspective. I thought it was important. She also had a good way of, whatever it was, saying, Josh, this is what I think we should do and why. She'd make a really well-reasoned argument why we should go in a certain direction, and boom, that's what we would do. So we get together to meet about Demons. And she brings up an order of business, which is something that I didn't expect to be the first order of business. Now, I'm not going to say what it was, but it was a legit issue. It was a legit concern. And what I should have done is I should have said, this is a very legitimate thing to be worried about, but we need to solve this problem a different way than you're suggesting. Because it wasn't immediately a problem. It was something that could have been a problem, but it wasn't a problem then, and she kind of made an issue of it. And I went for her solution, and the problem is that her solution put Tyler Donovan in a very awkward place, very difficult place. And he thought about it for a while, what we asked of him, and then he came back and he said, look, he sent a text message, said, if this is what you're going to ask me to do, then I'm out, and I've thought about it over the years, and I don't think that there's any other way that he would have reacted to that than he did. Probably 9 out of 10 people would have reacted to what we asked of him the way he did. And he said, I'll film one more scene, and that's my character's death. And so Victoria comes to me, and she says, he's pulling this because he's counting on, since you guys have been friends since the 5th grade, that you'll just give in to him. And you shouldn't reward Tyler for his bad behavior. And just like that, the conversation became all about Tyler's reaction to what happened, and not what happened that put him in that position. And I went to him and I said, Tyler, Victoria is threatening to quit the project over your text message. And he was just like, well, bye. I think he genuinely didn't realize I was going to side with her over him. And she says to me, why do you want Avalon Universe to end? And I said, I want it to end because we become creatively fulfilled and we move on. And she says, well, you're not going to get that with all of Tyler's drama. And so, it's either him or me. And if you want to move on and keep making films, I think you need to move on from him. I think we need to bring on board Chuck Murray, X, Y, and Z, and he can be Captain Lancelot and all of this. So Tyler says, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to film your death scene. And I've known Tyler long enough to know that if Tyler Donovan's attitude towards anything is F you, he's just going to tell you. He's just going to say it. Doesn't matter who you are. Even if you're Carl Urban, he's just going to say it. He didn't do that. He didn't do that. He showed up and he filmed this movie. And so here we are, Avalon Lost. We filmed Mason's death scene, a film that never should have been made. But here it is.
Well, maybe I could ask the question right at the onset here. Why use the regular one model for Starbase 6?
Why use the regular one model for Starbase 6? That is a great question. That was Sam Cocking's idea. He made that suggestion. Thought it was a good one. Sam actually contributed a lot of ideas to the script. The thought that Captain Ramirez had kind of a sordid past. Sam even wrote a version of the script that I looked at and sort of considered and took things from. But yeah, this was Sam's idea, just to do something maybe Avalon's a little ahead of its time.
State your name and rank.
I had fun doing this. I had fun doing these sort of interrogation shots.
Ramirez, Lance, rank, Captain. Currently unassigned.
Do we get
most recent
the woman's name in this scene? I don't know if I know what her name or her character.
Yeah, I don't think we ever said her name.
Captain, let's start
I
at the
think we
beginning.
even labeled
You
her
are currently
as
on leave after
Starfleet
relinquishing
interrogator
your
or something
previous
like
command.
this.
What brought
I'm
you to
assuming she's a
Starbase
captain.
6?
She has captain stripes. She must be like a JAG officer.
She was, and making her a captain was, of course, Victoria's idea. Now, I wrote the initial script, and then Victoria did her own pass on it. And we'll get into a funny anecdote about that here in a second. This is the first time we
show me the ship. Everyone knows what a Connie looks like, but this was
I love
ship.
that we had Lance call it a Connie.
So we did the whole romantic flyby thing just so Mason could show it off.
With Sam designed that
so
shuttle
proud.
specifically for us.
And I couldn't blame them.
And I loved it.
How many times have you done this?
8 or 9. Or 100. I don't know. I lost count. It never gets old. I mean, just look at her.
And of course, the difference here is that in Ghost Ship, we were in the shuttle at neutral zone. Here we're in the shuttle at warp 66, and they're kind of the inverse of each other, whereas the neutral zone shuttle didn't have the windows put on, but it had a back. The warp 66 shuttles has the windows, but it has no back.
So you have to film it differently.
You had to film it completely differently, yeah.
I'm really
So when
proud
I
of you,
shots
man.
like this, I'm right up
Always
on
knew
him.
you'd
I'm
get
right
the big
in
seat.
in
So
the
did
cockpit,
Amanda.
right up on him.
Even
Whereas
if you did get it a
with
little
Ghost
half-assed
Ship
at
at
the
neutral
end.
zone, I was outside the
But
cockpit,
hey, I
kind
was
of moving
confident.
around on a slider.
They were always a solid 7 out of 10.
I noticed that the
7.5. Anyway, let's hope my first
Excalibur
command is less
is
intense
retrofitted. We got
than
the
yours
blue
was.
under the
I mean,
Bassard
don't get me wrong, you
collector.
did a
We
hell of a
have the
job and
torpedo
everything.
tubes on the
It's
neck.
just that,
Yep.
Starfleet saves its best ships
Again,
for those
that
of us
was
who can
all
boldly
Sam.
go at
He
warp
he,
factor
he
9.
kind of went forward
Hey,
with
we
how to
all got
innovate
back in
that
one
design,
piece
and
besides the
kind of asked me some
only
questions
time
and
I've ever
came up
seen
with a
you
version and showed it to me.
boldly go anywhere.
How great does Chuck Murray look in his tunic? I mean, he's just a handsome man.
Is that
He
too
looks
much
really
whiskey?
good in this
Yeah,
tunic.
speaking of-
I think he looks much better in this uniform than
I know this
in
time
later
off is a
episodes
necessity,
when he
not a
has the
vacation, but either way, I'm
oversized
glad you're
TOS
here.
uniform.
Beck will be glad to see you
When
too.
we get to that,
Once
we're
we
going to
get this
talk
stuff
about
offloaded
that.
at the station, we can take you to one of the best watering holes in the sector.
It was
Yeah,
like
really
the
top
only
shelf stuff
tunic
if you
Glenn
really
had
ask.
when we
I
shot.
really like that. It's been way too long since the three of us caught up. I'll drink you under the table.
Beck will outdrink both of us and still be ready to report for shift in the morning.
So I gave Victoria access to the script writing software. And so she logs in one night and she does her own pass on the script. And I get in there the next day and I'm looking through the material and I'm like, what's all this stuff about like people talking about getting drunk and you're going to drink them under the table and all of this? And she admitted to me that she had logged into the script writing software drunk and written all that stuff. And I was like, why did you do this? And she's like, well, I handle my alcohol better than them. And so when we filmed the scene, Tyler says that line where he's like, Beck will outdrink us both and report for shift in the morning. And then right after that, he goes, because she says she handles it better. And I wanted to leave that in the film. I had it in one of the edits and she was like, no, don't leave that in there,
Was there any indication while you were on board the Excalibur that something would go wrong?
None that I could see. The stop was brief and uneventful. We met up with Commander Archer and loaded up the shuttle for the return trip.
Lieutenant Commander Jamie Archer.
This set here is Fayetteville. It's at Fayetteville Public Access Television in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And it's as simple as it looks. We just, black curtains, a monitor in the background, a table. Those two devices on the table are microphones picking up what they're saying. But they looked cool, so I thought, hey, let's leave them there.
It's kind of microphones you'll find like in an office conference room setting.
Yeah.
You tell the back the television's one of those ones that you have like on the wheels, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And we lit it just directly from the top, so the light would only be on them. And it was like, that's kind of the interrogation room lighting. So I was good with it. And then I've got my slider, and I'm moving around on it. I loved it. I thought it looked really good.
Well, correct? Her first post was on the Valiant under your chief engineer, Eric Menard.
That's correct.
And there were no...
How was it for both of these actors to do their lines of dialogue with the camera clearly being in front of their face? Was that annoying to them, or they just read the lines? They didn't care where the camera was.
They were amazing. Both of them were amazing. They were pros in how they handled it. Yeah, I mean, I'm right up on them, and they just ignored the camera. Now this lady Amy Eversole is the actress. She was fantastic. Every single performance that she did it the same way every time, every shot, every take. And like Tyler, for example, what he'll do is you do takes with him. He'll give you a different thing every time. He'll give you a bunch of variety. But her doing the same thing on every single take was so useful because we had all these different angles we were doing, and it made it easier to cut in this situation. So I was really appreciative of it. And what I discovered later was that Victoria had called her on the phone a few days beforehand, and that they had practiced and really gone over this material. And so Victoria had kind of coached her on what to play for this character, and so they had prepared for it, and it worked out incredibly well.
Oh, issues with her work there?
Not that I'm aware of, or none that were reported to me.
And Chuck is just always
Now,
hot.
she came with you
as an actor.
on the return trip.
We were moving trilithium resin for disposal. I mean, you can transport this stuff, but it's riskier, so we were moving it by shuttle. We had to go back to the station anyway, and Mason always likes to take the stick himself.
And again, that's the one wall trick. You know, there was one TV monitor, and we were just moving it around for the various shots.
That's an interesting pause right now, by the way.
Yeah, in the middle of the dissolve.
So, how'd you get Archer to be your chief engineer?
And so if you notice
Of course he did.
early on here,
No,
the
she is
shuttle's
not what I
really bright.
expected. No,
And I wanted
Yeah,
the shuttle to be
too.
really brightly lit.
definitely make an odd pair.
Contrast
she
what
really
was going
bailed
to
us out
happen
on that last
got
mission.
damaged.
We'd all be dead if she hadn't ejected and detonated the warp core just in time.
Ah, are we in love again?
I always find that
We are
funny.
not
Are we in love
We
again?
are her captain. Just noting. Just
And I
noting the
have
job
so
well
much
done.
fun
Yeah,
with
but
stuff
come
like
on.
this, the
I mean, I can see
displays
it
in the
all over your-
windows.
What
and
face?
all
That
kind of
face
stuff.
you're making,
I don't have a face.
she's just your type too.
What's that supposed to mean?
She's beautiful.
Irrelevant.
She's smart.
So was
Which
that
is
like a
why
green
she's the chief
screen?
engineer.
How did you do that that effect?
Yeah, so the windows themselves have a green screen behind them.
And the
then-
monitor on in the center there?
Yeah, if you were to be there on set, the little monitor at the bottom is also just like a little green insert. And so it was just a matter of chroma keying it. But with see these, heads up display type deals here in the windows, that's a little bit more than just a chroma key. That is actually what you call a corner pen, where you go in and you shape it to fit a specific area so that it can see how it bends with the windows, that sort of thing. You see a lot of that with wherever we do a view screen, I do the corner pen effect.
And way too good for you.
Yeah, well, doesn't matter, because like I said, I'm her captain.
She's into Menard though, so
That's
Yeah,
I wanted to
what's
ask you
going on
about.
there?
That's one of my questions there.
No,
What's with Ramirez saying that Jamie Archer's into Menard?
Well, we were planning on doing a film that explained that we actually never ended up making because of COVID. But it was kind of this, we put it out there as this thing and Tori loved this, by the way. She was all about it. I mean, I wish Menard was my love interest, so maybe I'm projecting. No, it was a thing where, she's a very beautiful young lady. And so she kind of put this thing out there like she's taken, so, guys would leave her alone kind of a deal. But it was really just what it ended up coming down to is that they were just very close friends. And they were such close friends that people thought they were an item, even though they weren't. And then it became a joke. And, that's where it was ultimately going to go. But really, Menard was one of the few people that she just really trusted and knew that he was an honest guy and he was never going to try and take advantage of her, that he respected her because she was a good engineer. And like she says in Knights of the Void, not just a pretty face or her name.
no one does. Seems a woman's heart is still mankind's greatest mystery.
Now that's the truth.
But she wasn't actually involved with it.
Okay, cargo is secure. Containment field should keep it stable until we can offload it. But this stuff is pretty volatile, so none of your fancy flying.
What's that supposed to
So
mean?
this,
Just keep it
I
slow
wonder
and steady.
here, did Jamie Archer secure the trilithium resin properly? Because she was the one securing it. Then the accident happened. I'm not trying to blame her character, but and I know that the JAG officer asked the question if she performed, if anyone failed to perform professionally or whatever. But you do wonder what did cause the trilithium to combust or whatever.
An answer that will be forthcoming in a later film.
Hi, Admiral.
Aye, Admiral.
Did you
I
have
love her
any
reaction.
warning that something had
You know,
gone
it would have been
wrong
funny
before the power
had she
failed?
said in that line, had you let her reply and say something to the effect of, I don't know, like her father was an admiral, her grandfather's the admiral, my grandfather's the admiral. You know, like a reference to like
father
John
is-
Archer.
Yeah. My
I
father
know
is
a lot of
Sir.
people say this when stuff like this happens, but everything seemed fine. We were just shooting the breeze. And then it happened.
Warning. Main power failure.
Well, the first time we did that take, we're in this wide shot and we're shaking
losing
the
at it.
camera. I was shaking the camera and I couldn't see the shake happening on the camera, and I was like, "Why isn't it shaking?" You know, I'm like shaking it a whole bunch. I had the image stabilizer turned on. And I was
Well,
like,
now
"Oh."
you know it works well.
Yeah, I had to turn it off to shake
Chief
it.
Control.
And this was the
We've
last,
lost main
I
power.
think, the last
Containment's
instance
losing
where I
integrity.
actually would
Switching to auxiliary
physically
power.
shake the camera.
I'm trying to
and do
split
that
emergency
effect.
power across
Later
life
on, what I
support,
started
containment,
doing was
and
just
impulse
shaking the
engines,
camera
but there's not
repetitively.
enough to go around.
If we don't have enough power for impulse, I'll have to
So
stabilize
were the
us with
actors
maneuvering
sitting
thrusters.
Trilithium must have spiked.
pretty
Not enough
steadily
to
in
take
these
out the
scenes, or
Oh,
did
containment,
you
yeah.
ask
but
them
the
to
feedback must have
shake a
knocked
little
out main
bit
power.
too? They don't look like they're
We're
shaking.
losing
In
containment.
some of them. In
It's just
some
a
of
matter
them
of
I
where.
did.
Gotta limit the damage. We cannot let this
Some of
boat
them I
hit
had
the
to
starbase.
shake a little bit.
Cycling
I
secondary
got
power.
better about
Attempting
that as
manual
I got
restart
more
of impulse
experience
engines.
of actually saying, "Now we're
Starbase
shaking."
Control, this is Shuttle Avalon Mayday.
We have a catastrophic failure of our impulse engines and trilithium containment.
So this
Request emergency beam out for
Control
2
room
passengers.
for the starbase is in a
Yeah.
TV
Shuttle
control
Avalon,
room.
this is
So yeah, it's literally, so the interrogation room, it's literally right next to the where we filmed the interrogation room. It's like you could just step from one to the other. Yeah, it's the Fayetteville Public Access Television control room. And you know, again,
Starbase control. Have you
it's
tried
the
a
one
manual
wall
restart
trick.
of the
So
onboard
she's
reactor?
got the control room
If
behind
you can
her,
stabilize containment, we can
and
tractor
then in
you
the
in.
shots where
Not
you
enough time.
reverse it and you
We
see
can't
the
risk a
screen in
collision
front of
with the
her,
starbase with
he's
trilithium aboard.
just on the opposite side of the
If I
room. And I
reroute
moved
power
the
from
camera.
life support and the containment field, I can probably get Avalon outside the base's shields before the cargo explodes.
I mean, it's just
Makes
kind
it.
of
I can fix it.
ridiculous
I
how
just need
much
more
I ended up
time.
using the
Time
one
is
wall
exactly
trick.
the one thing we don't have. And power. And options.
And a second wall.
Okay, there's a lot of things we don't have, and time is
Yeah.
one of them.
That was an
Can you engage
improv
autopilot?
when he said that.
Autopilot is a no-go.
And a lot of things
Tyler,
we don't
Tyler
know.
likes to improv.
Get
It's
a
one of
pattern
his
lock on
favorite
all of them.
things.
Negative.
I need to remain in control of this craft.
You can't fix it for me this time, Beck.
See, I love stuff like this.
It's up to me
The
now.
red alert light, you know, just
Derek,
so much fun.
Should you be using
Oh
this
no, a
new AI?
commercial. Come on.
Come on, just try them all.
Yeah, come on. I
Yeah.
already have Inbox elements.
Shuttle Avalon. Situation understood. Emergency protocols in effect.
I can't get a lock on them.
So this young
too much
lady,
interference.
Laura Joffrion, she
having trouble
was one of
isolating your
Victoria's
individual life signs
friends
through the
that
radiation.
she had worked with on
You'll have to
another
activate
film
your
project.
emergency beacon on your tricorder to give us something to lock onto.
Copy, Starbase Control.
And I
Sure you want to do
love
this?
the way that this
I
lighting
can pilot the shuttle. I mean, at least we should flip a coin.
And I love this
It's
shuttle
my
set.
command and my
I
decision.
absolutely adore this shuttle set.
Go.
It's in the basement
Commander, we have to go.
of Warp
I just need more
66
time.
Studios.
Are we going to see
It's an
shuttles in the
order,
ones
Commander.
the future captain?
No, we're
It's
not.
fine.
We're not going to see it in the Once Future Captain. You know, and it's funny because so much of the Mason and Archer story, they've always been in shuttles, and this time they're not.
I have a lock.
Well, we will see a shuttlecraft in the Once and Future Captain, but we won't be inside of it.
Shuttle Avalon. We have a positive signal and a lock. Stand by for transport.
Amanda,
I also think this film was the first time I actually made Tyler wear makeup.
Energize.
And see, look, she's just moved to the other side of the room for this shot. Then reverse shot. Now, people have given me a hard time over the years. Oh, it's just a TV switcher. It's like, well, it's just a TV switcher in Star Wars too, in the Death Star. So
It works. It's colorful. It has that TOS vibe, sort
yeah,
of.
that's what I thought.
Big buttons.
Big glowing buttons.
Now, if you saw that in an actual episode or movie of Star Trek, you'd be like, come on,
Everybody
millions of
support the
dollars for
thrusters.
that.
Here we go. One last big push. You can do this.
Containment failure. Imminent.
And really, the effect just kind of works because we turn the lights off in that room. It's painted like a really dark blue. So we were able to just, turn the overhead lights off and kind of spotlight the actors. It was lovely. And then there actually was a window. We put
control room window?
Yeah, control room window, but we put other things on the side of it to kind of space it up a little bit.
Are those physical elements or are those added in post? Because they look kind of CG-ish.
Yeah, it's a CG thing.
Okay.
Captain Ramirez, in your best judgment, were the events aboard the shuttle Avalon a result of negligence on the part of Lieutenant Commander Jamie Archer, Captain
Just
Derek
fantastic.
Mason, or any other
I'd love to have her
Starfleet
back,
personnel?
actually.
I was just going to ask,
I don't think
we haven't seen her
we'll ever know
back. It would be,
the cause for
it goes,
the
might
initial
be a little
malfunction.
too late for the
But one
23rd
thing I do know
century,
for sure
but
is
Yeah.
that
to
every officer
reprise the same
involved
character.
gave their
Yeah, she was
absolute best.
fantastic. It'd be lovely
those
to
moments.
have her back and give her a name at
Thank
some
you,
point,
I believe that's all for now.
And I'm going to get a little bit meta here. With what Ramirez says here, he's talking about Mason, but when I wrote it, I was talking about Tyler. I was like, we give him this bad rap about drama or whatever. No, the dude didn't have to come shoot this movie. And really, the issue that was being raised that we're not talking about wasn't something that was his fault. It was not his fault. It was just something peripherally attached to him that he had done nothing. And so I was kind of making a statement about Tyler when I wrote this part.
When I was at the academy, everyone thought that Mason was the class clown, and he was. But
Was
he knew more than that, too.
was Tyler the class clown when you
And if
knew
you
him
ask
back in
me,
grade school?
He
I think
really
that's what
wasn't.
counts.
I was more the clown than he was.
It's not how much you screwed up.
Who wrote that part into the script?
How
You
many
Well,
or
I wrote it, but it was,
How you treat
we
people.
kind of given the character this kind of a
And the sacrifice,
thing where he's a little bit of a clown and he makes jokes and all this kind of stuff.
in the end,
Because I
Captain
wrote a lot of
Mason.
myself into Mason. He's more my sense of humor, but then Tyler would improv.
oh, so you
that.
were the class clown, not Tyler.
I was absolutely the class clown. Tyler was kind of nerdy when I first met him, and then when he was about 20 years old, he denies it, but he was kind of gangsta for a while, and then he just kind of settled to being the adult we know today.
was a hero. And he gave his life for everyone at the station. Just another piece of badassery from my friend.
Victoria had the great idea of making sure that we got this close up of Amy reacting to that, and I thought that was a good idea. And another place where I'm going to give her credit is she made this idiot a better actor.
How you doing, Lance?
Commodore?
I'm sorry to have to do this to you, especially considering the circumstances. But Starfleet needs you back on duty, and I need you to finish what Mason started.
I'm not sure what you mean, sir.
Excalibur needs a captain. Now. They were supposed to leave on their final ship.
And where that like truss is, that's the interrogation room.
Down cruise in just 17 hours. I can delay it a day, maybe 2, Starfleet is stretched very thin across this sector. We've lost contact with a few of our outposts along the Klingon neutral zone. So I need Excalibur
I
up
like
and
that
running
little
so we can
tease
find out
there
why.
that there's
No, there
you
has to
know
be
that
someone
that's
else.
headed that's leading to
about
something
Beck?
in a future
Commander
episode.
Beck is a very capable officer.
Well, you know, it's the thing is that by the time we wrote Avalon Lost, I'd already written not only Demons, I'd written Air and Darkness by that point. I, you know, so I knew it
Well,
was.
and also, what's Star Trek without some Klingons? You know,
Mhm. Yeah, I was really about doing some Klingons.
But you're the only person within 50 light years
I
that
didn't
has
mean that
command
the way it's
experience aboard a heavy cruiser.
This was supposed to be Derek's ship. How can I command his ship?
I wish there was another way. Believe me, I wanted this for him too. But you have a ship and a crew that needs you. I've scheduled a command briefing with the senior staff at 0800 hours tomorrow morning.
I'm not even sure I can take the captain's chair again. And I'm nowhere near ready to take his chair, sir.
Look at that glorious.
Look, I understand how you feel. But the reality of the situation is,
like that.
you're all we've got. If it helps,
he's very distinguished.
I believe in your ability to command, just like I believed in
Actually,
his.
I would have loved to have gotten
I
like a
need you on
prequel
that ship at 0800
story
hours
about
tomorrow.
Lance Ramirez with his command of the Valiant, because there's a reason why he stepped down as captain that we don't get a lot of what was the reasoning behind that.
Yeah,
which I can tell makes it difficult for him to become the captain of this ship. Not just that his friend died, but you know, he says I'm
things
not sure.
happened to him beforehand.
I
Yeah,
heard.
Yeah, so it would have been nice to
I can
explore
do this,
that.
Amanda.
well, we will a little bit.
Well, I mean, like in an in-depth episode.
Well,
Yeah,
then
COVID kind of
do it
made that
together.
difficult, but because when we got to that point, we were right in the middle of the lockdown.
I could use a drink.
So again, we're going with the drinking here.
That's what Lisa would have wanted.
And she added that into the script, right?
I don't know. I don't know if she added that part.
Or
of
if
it.
you added it.
I may have put that there, and then I think she added mostly the part about how she'd drink them under the table and all of this. In this version 1.0 of the credits, awful, ridiculous looking. But I love the OG theme song. I absolutely love the OG theme song. So there you go. Avalon Lost. Wow. Anyway, so let's go back into the Q&A of all of this. We got Jim Bolton here. So are Chuck Murray and Victoria ever coming back to these characters? I can 100% tell you that Victoria will never come back to play that character after Air and Darkness. The ship has sailed for a multitude of reasons, but she will never be back. Chuck is going to help us behind the camera. I'm meeting with him sometime in the next week, and he's going to help us out with some visual effects stuff for Ghost Crystal. There is a way that's been conceived of that he might have a cameo again. If he chooses to do that, that's up to him. If he doesn't want to do that, also
are
up
you
to
talking
him.
about once and future captain or something?
Something very different.
So it wouldn't be the same role, like maybe like an old recorded captain's log or something that they.
Something like that, yes.
Okay.
Something along those lines is what.
It'd be fun, whatever it is, if it can tie into maybe why he. I mean, if it's possible to make it tie into the reason why he stopped commanding the Valiant.
Perhaps, yeah, there is something along those lines that I've thought of. Again, I don't know if he'll want to do it or not. but I will ask him. I do plan to ask him. Chuck is, man, he's everything that you see right here on screen. I mean, he's fan film Keanu Reeves. He really is. Because like if Keanu Reeves is cool when he's John Wick or whatever else, but off screen he's a genuinely like good person. He goes around and he helps the less fortunate. He doesn't act like he's better than people. He's just a genuine guy, and Chuck's like that. Chuck is just a genuinely good person, and that's why he signed on and did this, because he's a genuinely good guy.
So was he a Trekkie beforehand?
He's just an actor, and but he still did it, and I would work with him any day. He's a really talented filmmaker and director himself. He's got this great sci-fi film on his Zombie Go Boom channel that honestly should be on Dust. I mean, it's a fantastic original sci-fi short that's way better than anything I've ever done. I mean, just a fantastic film. So,
did he direct it or produce it or both?
Yeah, he directed and wrote, directed, and produced it. He's not in it. He did all the stuff behind the camera, but he got a great actor to be in it. It's just a great film. It's really good. And I wish that I could have worked with him more, but this roller coaster ride kind of went the way that it did, and so what I'll say is that I'm very proud of how this film turned out. I'm very proud that we turned what could have been a really difficult moment into a success, because this film was very successful. This film was very, very successful. By the time that Demons even came out, this film had like 80,000 views already. It was well received in the fan film community. We got a lot of great feedback on it. Victoria did help direct it. She did not solo direct it. And she sort of asserted herself into that role, in the sense that she didn't come to me and say, Josh, I want to co-direct here. Let's talk about this. Nothing like that happened. She just sort of did it. She, like I said, I found out later that she had talked to Amy Ebersol on the phone and coached her with the part. And what I'll say is, I thought, hey, she did a great job. And so I was, she helped me become a better actor, and in the parts where she did direct, I didn't have a problem with it. And so I was fine with continuing on with that, and had more of what we had done been more of a co-directing thing, I would have been fine with that. So, I co-direct a lot with Tyler now, and that always goes really well, So even though she kind of didn't talk to me about it and just sort of asserted herself in doing it, I thought she did a good enough job to where it wasn't something I was going to be frustrated about, if that makes sense. So as an outsider, again, give me your thoughts, your take. Do you remember when you first even saw this film?
I don't remember the year. I don't remember. But like I said last time when I was on the live stream here, when I saw Ghost Ship the first time, I think I saw a few others at the same time. Maybe it was just the two parts of Ghost Ship and this one. I think that's what it was. I think it was before Demons came out. I think I could be mistaken, but I remember just thinking at the time, when are they going to get to the ship? When are they going to get on their first adventure? But what I do think, what I like about this episode is that it gives more depth to all the characters. I mean, by the time Ramirez becomes captain of the Excalibur, and I know, what will happen with Jamie Archer when she's on trying to fix the phaser emitters later. He suffers the loss of her as chief engineer, and now he's before that he suffers the loss of his good buddy and captain.
Yeah.
This is a guy who's seen a lot of death around him of close people, and I don't know how many others he may have lost under his command on the Valiant. So it really makes you respect Captain Ramirez a lot. And I thought that Victoria, Commander Beck, does a great job in this. And her acting, every time I watch it, I feel like she really does care about Captain Mason passing, like it breaks her, even though it's maybe not the case in reality. But
that's why they call it acting,
Yeah, she does a great job. She really, with the music and then with the shots with her face and even her facial expressions. I mean, she has me convinced that she is heartbroken by this. And then at the end, when she tells Ramirez that, we'll do it together regarding commanding the Excalibur, like I can tell that she really is she makes a great first officer later on, as someone that Ramirez could lean on. And I love her performance in Demons when she really helps Ramirez, to stay focused and follow the mission. But I think all of this, it just adds more depth, because we saw 2 episodes before with Commander Beck. So now we see her in this a little bit, and we're going to see her more later. And then I think this is the first time we see Ramirez, right?
Yeah, this is his first appearance.
Yeah. So he does a great job. So it's just, building the captain that we're going to see for the next few episodes here. And at the time when you introduced him in this, so when I first saw this, I thought it maybe had to do with the fan film regulations of not using too many, not using the same characters over and over as CBS and Paramount stipulated early on. So I thought maybe we're just, shift some characters, and new ones will come in and old ones will be phased out. So I like the introduction of Chuck Ramirez and sorry, Chuck. I'm combining his name now. Chuck Meir, Captain Lance Ramirez, and I am saddened that we don't see more of him in the series. As I think he's one of my favorite characters in the entire saga. So I hope he does come back. If you're watching, come back.
So Jim has another fun comment here I like. He says, "Christian, can you act? You look like a ship captain." Well, Jim, you're in for a treat, because Christian is going to be in at least 2 Avalon Universe films. He's already filmed his first performance with us. So yes, he can act, and he will indeed be on screen with us. And I'm excited about it. And so will his very beautiful wife, Emily, is going to be on screen with him. And I'm really excited about it. They both did an excellent job coming out and filming with us last year, and they're going to be back here in a few months in Arkansas this time, working with us. So I'm excited to show Christian and Emily the natural state. I think you guys will enjoy it here, going to Warp 66 Studios, what we're going to do with the place. You brought up an interesting point about like the guidelines and wondering, like, were characters going to come in and out, or did that factor into it? That was really not too long after the guidelines had come out, like about 1.5 years. And a lot of people really didn't know what to make of how this was going to go, because like they came out, but then like STC was still releasing episodes. And then after they were gone, George Cayenne was doing like 50-minute Antilles episodes. And there were people complaining about it. Like, why is George still making the 50-minute episodes? And I was like, CBS doesn't care about George Cayenne making Star Trek episodes in his basement. That's why, and then I think really what got me going was I'm looking at Vance, and Vance is just churning out film after film after film. But what he did is he branded every single thing he did as a different film. And I thought Vance has kind of cracked the code of the guidelines here. And so I kind of rolled the dice here, and then with Demons, like, okay, if we make another film, how are they going to respond? You know, and obviously, if they'd come to us and said, okay, cut it out, well, you know, that would have been it. But they didn't. We rolled the dice. We kind of followed Vance's model for it, and hey, they left us alone, and they've left us alone. They've left Nick Cook alone. They've left Dreadnought Dominion alone. They've left, you know, Farragut alone. They've left everybody doing this alone for 8, 9, well, it's, you know, came out in I think 2016, so like almost 10 years. You know, they've kind of let us color outside the lines, and I've always thought it was just because, you know, I think what CBS and Paramount really care about when it comes to fan films is just making sure that they genuinely are fan films. They're made by fans, they're low budget, no one's making any money. It's just for the love of Star Trek. And I think as long as we're actually doing that, it just doesn't seem like they want to sweat the details. Yeah, you know, and I will agree with you wholeheartedly on the point that Victoria was fantastic in this, that she did a great job as an actor, and she did a great job as a director. And she wrote a funny thing that, even though, like, you know, there's a silly story associated with it, it's still in the movie. You know, I didn't be like, we're not putting that in there. You know, it still made it in. Going back long before Avalon, I always felt like she had a leadership quality to her. I felt like that she had, she could be believable as a leadership person on camera. I felt like she had a commanding presence. And off camera, I've always thought she was a brilliant human being. I thought that she put a real analytical approach to making films. And I thought she was creative. I still believe that. You know, I've never stopped believing that about her. So, yeah, I mean, she is, I'll tell you this, she's proud of this film. She always was very proud of this film. She thought, you know, Ghost Ship was Josh's film. She would always say Avalon Lost was her film. And you know what? She's right. And she has the right to be proud of it. So, and I hope that she still is. You know, I can't tell you anything about her. I don't know where she is, what she's doing, what's going on in her life, but I hope she's still proud of the work that she did, because she deserves to be. So there you go. Not much to say about Avalon Lost, other than it could have been the end. It wasn't. We made the most of it. We made a good film. It won awards, I think. I'd have to go back and look. I think it won awards in the Bijos. And it was a great stepping stone. And the intent had always been that I was going to kill off, or appear to kill off, Jamie Archer, and that she would then go sort of answer to the Ghost Ship aliens as to why she had killed the alien in the first movie. But what this ended up doing was giving us the opportunity to put her and Tyler in that position. And so, even though this looked like it was the end, it was the perfect setup on the, well, in sci-fi, no one's ever dead. And so I appreciate that about it. So, Christian, I'm going to give you the last word. Last word on Avalon Lost.
It's a great episode. I hope everyone watches it again and shares it with other people, and tell your friends about Avalon Universe. If you love Star Trek, or if you know others who like Star Trek, especially the old stuff, they'll love Avalon Universe. It's right in line. It has that TOS TNG spirit that made Star Trek great. And I think that Avalon Universe carries the torch very well as a spiritual successor of great Star Trek. So watch the series again and pass it on to your friends. Tell others about Avalon.
We certainly are trying to tell stories in the classic Star Trek style. That's for sure. A lot of people have given opinions lately about modern Star Trek and modern Star Trek shows, and everybody's opinion is everybody's opinion. If you like that, watch it. You know, if you like what we're doing and you watch it, you also have CBS and Paramount to thank, because they're the ones that give us the grace to do this. And I'm always saying that. But I respect the art that's being created today by official canon Star Trek. But I want to tell stories in the classic Star Trek style, and I feel like that's what we're doing here, and what we're going to keep doing as long as we can get away with it. So I appreciate everyone who has joined us and talked with us, left comments over the past hour or so. You know, drama and adversity are baked into filmmaking, and it's part of the filmmaking experience. And if you think you're going to get around it, you're just wrong. But the thing to keep in mind is that you just don't quit. You know, you have some tenacity about it, and you keep coming back, and you keep figuring out how to pick yourself off the ground and keep making art. And if you can do that, then, you know, so many films, so many art projects end because people let them in, because they give up. And I think the behind the scenes story of Avalon Universe is just that I never gave up on it. So, all right. Well, yeah, Jim and everybody else that was here, thank you for joining us. And thank you, Christian, for joining us. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks, and we're going to talk about demons.
Sounds fun. Take care.